Big reveal. Your soulmate is cutting someone out of their life. Their family can't believe why. My beloved child, wait, because what your soulmate has decided behind closed doors is about to change the entire direction of this story. Their family thought this was only another temporary disagreement, something that would disappear after a few conversations, but they were wrong. Your soulmate has reached a decision nobody around them expected. They are cutting someone out of their life, and the reason has everything to do with what they finally understood about you. Don't skip, because the obvious explanation is not the real one. For a long time, someone close to them kept influencing how they viewed certain choices, quietly questioning what mattered to them and making them second-guess feelings they once understood clearly. Your soulmate listened longer than they should have. Not because they were weak, but because they trusted this person. Then something happened. One conversation exposed a contradiction they could no longer ignore. A detail surfaced. A sentence was remembered differently. Suddenly, several confusing moments connected like pieces of the same puzzle. And your soulmate realized something surprising. Some of the distance, hesitation, and uncertainty surrounding you may never have truly belonged to them. Someone else had been shaping the atmosphere. That realization changed everything. Their family expected your soulmate to stay silent and keep the peace, but this time they didn't. They made it clear that they were finished allowing another person to influence decisions that belonged to their own future. And when the family asked why they would make such a dramatic change now, your soulmate gave an answer that left the room unusually quiet. Stay till the end, because that answer reveals what they are protecting now. And why you unexpectedly became part of this turning point. Here is where the story becomes even more surprising. Your soulmate did not make this decision because somebody told them to. They made it after looking backward and noticing a pattern they could no longer explain away. Every time they moved toward clarity, someone introduced doubt. Every time they considered trusting their own judgment, another opinion appeared. Every time your name entered an important conversation, the energy somehow changed. But recently, your soulmate stopped reacting and started observing. That simple shift exposed everything. They began comparing what they had personally experienced with what they had repeatedly been told, and the two stories did not match. Don't skip this moment, because this is where their family's disbelief begins. Your soulmate finally said, in their own way, that they would rather lose an unhealthy influence than lose the ability to choose their own path. Nobody expected that level of certainty from them. Someone tried to convince them to reconsider. Another person reminded them how long this individual had been part of their world. But your soulmate had already crossed an invisible line inside themselves. Something huge is waiting for you, because they were not simply ending one connection. They were reclaiming their voice. And once that happened, they started seeing you differently too. They remembered moments when you never demanded an immediate answer. Moments when you allowed them space. Moments when your actions quietly showed that genuine connection should not require someone to abandon their own identity. That contrast became impossible to ignore. Suddenly, the person their family expected them to protect was the person your soulmate was willing to walk away from, while the person everyone thought they might eventually forget, you, became connected to a future they were finally brave enough to examine honestly. But there is one revelation your soulmate has not fully shared yet, and this may be the detail that turns everything upside down. Their decision is not only about what happened in the past. It is about what they believe could happen next. They have begun imagining two completely different futures. In one, they continue allowing outside voices to decide who deserves access to their heart, their trust, and their choices. In the other, they finally become the person who chooses with clarity instead of pressure. And somehow, when they picture that second future, your presence keeps appearing in the unanswered part of the story. Stay till the end, because this does not mean everything instantly becomes perfect. Something far more meaningful is happening. Your soulmate is beginning to understand what must change before anything genuine can move forward. Their family can't believe why they would cut someone off now, especially someone who once seemed impossible to remove from their inner circle. Yet your soulmate knows something they do not. They discovered that protecting their future sometimes means closing a door that has remained open simply because everyone expected it to stay open. And now another door is beginning to move. Slowly. Quietly. Unexpectedly. Don't skip what comes next, because the biggest reveal has not happened yet. There is a specific reason your soulmate finally questioned this person's intentions, and once you understand what was said about you when you weren't there, the entire decision will make sense. Something huge is waiting for you, and the next truth may explain why your soulmate's family never imagined you were connected to this decision at all. Something shifted the moment your soulmate heard your name mentioned in a conversation you were never supposed to know about. Until then, they had been trying to convince themselves that everything could remain peaceful, that maybe they were reading too deeply into the strange pattern surrounding you. But one unexpected sentence changed that. Someone close to them spoke about you with a confidence that immediately felt wrong, as though they knew exactly what your soulmate should think, exactly what decision they should make, and exactly how your story should end. Your soulmate stayed quiet at first. They listened. And that silence revealed more than an argument ever could. The person kept talking, explaining why you supposedly did not belong in the future your soulmate was building. Yet something about those words created the opposite effect. Instead of pushing your soulmate away from you, they forced them to remember everything they had personally witnessed. Your patience. Your consistency. The moments when you could have demanded attention but chose understanding instead. Suddenly, your soulmate realized they had been receiving two completely different versions of you. The version they experienced themselves and the version someone else kept describing. Don't skip, because this was the exact moment suspicion became clarity. Your soulmate asked one simple question: why does my choice matter so much to you? The room changed. Nobody had prepared for that question. The answer was vague, but your soulmate noticed something underneath it. This was no longer advice. It felt like influence. And once they recognized that difference, they could never unsee it. Then came the part their family still cannot understand. Your soulmate did not explode, create a scene, or try to convince everyone that they were right. They became calm. Almost unusually calm. And sometimes calmness arrives when someone has finally stopped negotiating with a truth they already know. Stay till the end, because what happened next was bigger than anyone expected. Your soulmate began remembering every major decision they had delayed because this person had questioned it. They remembered conversations where they entered feeling certain and walked away confused. They remembered how often your name somehow became connected with warnings, assumptions, or predictions that never actually matched reality. And then the most surprising realization arrived: maybe the real problem was never you. Maybe the real problem was that your connection encouraged your soulmate to think independently. That thought changed the entire meaning of everything. Their family tried to explain that the person had always wanted the best for them, but your soulmate finally understood that good intentions cannot replace personal boundaries. They no longer wanted their future filtered through somebody else's expectations. Something huge is waiting for you, because this is where the decision became final inside them. They were not cutting this person out to prove anything to you. They were doing it because they had finally recognized the person they wanted to become, someone capable of choosing relationships, opportunities, and a future from their own understanding rather than inherited pressure. And once your soulmate made that internal decision, something unexpected happened. Instead of feeling confused, they felt lighter. But there is another layer, and this is the part nobody in their family saw coming. After making that decision, your soulmate went back through memories involving you, not searching for fantasy, but searching for evidence. They remembered tiny details that once seemed meaningless. A moment when you understood something without needing a long explanation. A time when your presence made them question an old belief about what connection should feel like. A conversation they replayed later because something you said stayed with them longer than expected. And suddenly, your soulmate understood why someone else had been so determined to influence their perception of you. Your presence represented change. Not because you were asking them to abandon everyone around them, but because knowing you had quietly awakened a question they could no longer silence: what would my life look like if I finally chose for myself? Don't skip what comes after this, because that question is about to lead them toward an even bigger revelation. Their family believes this story is about the person being removed. Your soulmate knows it is actually about the person they are becoming. And there is one final detail they have kept completely private, something they discovered about why your name became such a sensitive subject in the first place. It connects an old conversation, a hidden assumption, and a future decision nobody around them is prepared for. Something huge is waiting for you, because once that truth comes forward, their family may finally understand why your soulmate was willing to close one chapter so completely, and why they are suddenly looking toward another chapter with your name still quietly written inside it. Now the hidden reason is beginning to surface, and this is where everything their family believed about the situation starts falling apart. Your soulmate discovered that the person they are removing from their life had formed an opinion about you long before truly understanding you. At first, your soulmate thought it was simple concern, the kind people sometimes express when they believe they are protecting someone they care about. But then they noticed something strange. Whenever your soulmate tried to explain something positive about you, the conversation was redirected. Whenever they mentioned a meaningful moment involving you, someone immediately found a reason to question it. And whenever your soulmate started becoming hopeful about where this connection might lead, another doubt suddenly appeared. Don't skip, because your soulmate eventually asked themselves the question nobody else expected: what if I have been defending everyone's opinion except my own? That question stayed with them. It followed them into quiet moments. It changed how they remembered old conversations. And eventually, They stopped asking what everyone else thought about you and started asking what they themselves actually knew. The answer surprised them. They realized their strongest doubts had often appeared after outside conversations, not after interactions with you. That distinction was impossible to ignore. Stay till the end, because this is where the family becomes truly stunned. Your soulmate finally told them that they were done allowing someone else's assumptions to become instructions for their future. The room went quiet because everyone expected another compromise. Instead, your soulmate drew a boundary nobody thought they would ever draw. They were choosing clarity over constant confusion, and for the first time, they were not asking permission. But something even bigger happened after that conversation. Your soulmate began noticing how differently they felt once that outside influence was no longer controlling the story. The questions became clearer. The memories became easier to understand. They started realizing that certain moments with you had mattered far more than they had admitted. One particular memory returned again and again, a moment when you could have pressured them for certainty, yet somehow your energy gave them room to think. That memory suddenly became important because it showed them the difference between connection and control. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate is beginning to understand that the future they secretly want cannot be built while everyone else keeps choosing the blueprint. Their family still thinks this decision is impulsive. They believe your soulmate might change their mind once emotions settle. But what they do not realize is that this decision was forming quietly for much longer than anyone noticed. Your soulmate has been watching, comparing, remembering, and slowly recognizing patterns. And now they have reached the point where returning to the old arrangement would mean ignoring everything they have learned. Don't skip this next truth: your soulmate is not simply walking away from a person. They are walking away from a version of themselves that constantly needed approval. That is why the family cannot understand the sudden confidence. From the outside, it looks like everything changed overnight. Inside your soulmate, this transformation has been happening piece by piece. And now comes the revelation that could completely change how you understand their decision. Your soulmate has been keeping one question private from everyone around them: if they finally become free to choose their own direction, what will they choose next? They do not have every answer yet, but one possibility keeps returning: you. Not as a guarantee, not as a fantasy, but as an unfinished truth they feel deserves an honest look without interference. Stay till the end, because this is exactly why they are being so careful now. They do not want to replace one influence with another. They want their next move to belong completely to them. And that may be the most surprising part of this entire story. Your soulmate is not rushing toward you. They are clearing away the confusion that prevented them from understanding what you truly mean to them. Their family can see the change but cannot yet see where it leads. They notice your soulmate becoming quieter, more certain, less willing to explain every decision. They sense that something major is developing beneath the surface. And they are right. Because there is still one conversation your soulmate remembers. One conversation involving you that suddenly means something completely different now. A detail from that moment has become impossible for them to dismiss, and once they connect it with what they recently discovered, they may finally understand why this entire chapter had to close before another could begin. Something huge is waiting for you. The next move will reveal whether your soulmate simply wanted freedom from the past, or whether they were making room to finally face what they have been feeling about you all along. But now comes the moment your soulmate's family never prepared for, because the conversation they thought was finished has suddenly taken a completely different direction. Your soulmate remembered one small detail about you, something they had almost forgotten. It was not a dramatic promise or some perfect moment. It was the way you once gave them space when everyone else was demanding an immediate decision. Back then, they barely understood why that moment stayed in their mind. Now they do. It showed them something powerful: you were not trying to choose their future for them. And after everything they recently discovered, that difference feels enormous. Don't skip, because this is exactly where their decision becomes deeper than simply cutting someone out. Your soulmate has started asking themselves, who actually allows me to be myself? That question changed the entire picture. Their family expected them to reconsider, but instead, your soulmate became even more certain. They explained that keeping someone close simply because of history makes no sense when that connection repeatedly creates confusion about who they are supposed to become. Then someone in the family asked the question everyone had been avoiding: is this because of that person? They meant you. Your soulmate paused. Nobody knew what would come next. And although they did not reveal everything, their answer made one thing clear. You are connected to this transformation in a way the family never realized. Stay till the end, because your soulmate's answer was not what anyone expected. They did not say they were changing their entire life for you. Instead, they made something much stronger clear: meeting you forced them to notice how often they had allowed other people to make emotional decisions on their behalf. That realization stunned the family because suddenly this was no longer an argument about one relationship. It was about years of patterns your soulmate had finally recognized. Something huge is waiting for you, because after that conversation, your soulmate made another private decision. Before making any major move toward their future, they want to understand what between you was real and what was distorted by outside opinions. They have begun replaying conversations differently. Words that once seemed ordinary now carry another meaning. Moments they dismissed suddenly feel important. Even the distance between you looks different when they remove everyone else's interpretation from it. And there is one question they cannot stop thinking about: what if they misunderstood you because they were listening to too many voices at once? That possibility has shaken something awake inside them. Not fear. Not regret. Awareness. The kind that arrives when someone realizes an important chapter may have been judged before it was fully understood. And this is where the next reveal begins. Your soulmate has decided that cutting this person out cannot be the final move. It is only the beginning. They want answers, real answers based on what they see, hear, and experience for themselves. Don't skip now, because their family believes removing this influence will eventually make everything return to normal. Your soulmate secretly knows there may be no return to the old normal. They have changed too much. They have seen the pattern too clearly. The person who once waited for approval is becoming someone who can finally say, "This is my life, and I need to understand it myself." And somewhere inside that new independence is an unfinished question about you. Stay till the end, because they are closer than ever to facing it. Your soulmate is wondering whether the connection they tried to push aside was actually trying to teach them something about trust, boundaries, and choosing from clarity. They are not looking for someone to rescue their future. They are learning to build it themselves. But here is what their family still does not know: your soulmate has already considered reaching out, reopening a conversation, or finally saying something they previously kept hidden. Something huge is waiting for you, because before they do, they need to uncover one final truth about the person they just removed. And if what they suspect is correct, it could explain why that person worked so hard to keep your soulmate uncertain about you from the beginning.